Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my Uncharted 3 Crushing Difficulty walkthrough, and this is chapter 12, also known as Abducted. And Nate has been kidnapped by pirates that I assume are the henchmen of Talbot. I can't really remember how they fit into the story because I recorded this quite a while back and I skipped all the cutscenes, and it's been months before that since I played the game, and I usually watch the cutscenes when I'm playing, or at least the games where I like the story. But I can't remember how these guys fit in. Probably they don't. They just want to show off their amazing environments that they have built for this game, and this is actually one of my absolute favorite levels. The first time I played this game, my jaw dropped when I came out into the big parts of this level. But here at the beginning, as you can see, Nate is in a big fist fight against these pirates, and by this point you should be quite well adjusted to the melee combat of this game. I was playing a bit sloppy, I was taking some cheap hits, but this is kind of like a clumsier version of the fighting in the Arkham games. You know, those Batman games, Asylum and City and what's called World? Wow. That was a brutal hit. Oh my god, I'd forgotten about that one. But anyway, it's very reminiscent of the Arkham games. And I like the fact that all the enemies are very courteous when it comes to fist fights. And as in all other big fist fights in this game, we have to end it with a brute. But since there is no one firing at us, this guy is really easy to take down. It's business as usual, same as before. You've met them a bunch of times before this. I only wish you could use the environment against the brutes. Maybe pick up a bottle or another big pair of pliers or whatever. But doesn't work that way, of course not. Why would anything do? Why would anything work the way you wanted it to? And also, something I need to address about this episode, or about the fight that's gonna engage when I get out of here. Because there is a big fight coming up, and I have a really good strategy for this fight, which makes it very easy. You will never ever get hit, basically. But it does take a very long time. It's a very slow strategy, but it's extremely safe. Whenever I play this game, just because I like playing it, I will usually be much more aggressive in the fight coming up. But since this is a walkthrough, I wanted to take the safer strat. So I have trimmed out about 8 minutes of the fight coming up. You will see a transition. I have left in enough so I can explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But most of the fight has been trimmed out, and it's about 8 minutes of video. Because this chapter, it's a bit past the 30-minute mark. And that's long enough, and you don't want to watch me for 8 minutes doing something that's basically, to be completely honest, quite boring to watch. But first we need to get out of here. And when you get out here, this is the part where my jaw dropped. I usually hate water levels in games. I think most gamers do. Because water is the most unforgiving element, I think, that you can throw into a video game. If you have ever played a Zelda game and tried to get through the water temple, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Or any platformer that has an ice level where you're skidding and sliding and going into pitfalls. I think a lot of gamers are, what's it called, hydrophobics? People may think we have rabies, but we are just traumatized by water levels. But as I said, I think this chapter is really fun. And we are soon coming up to the fight that I was talking about. First we're gonna take out this guy, because at this point we don't have a firearm. So I'm gonna do some stealth kills. I can't remember if you get a firearm from this guy, but he will always move over to that big crate thing, whatever it's called. So you can just sneak up behind him and do a stealth kill. And that is 100% consistent. He's supposed to be there. He's just bait. They threw him to the sharks and Nate the giant killer whale came up and took him out. And this is the big fighting arena. What I will do when things kick off is this wall that I just climbed down. I'm gonna climb up on it, or on the backside of it, and just cling to it. If you position yourself really close to the edge, you can more or less aim your gun around the wall. And that will put you in a great position to take out every enemy, because they will come towards you. You will never have to leave that cover if you don't want to. If you want to be more aggressive, I recommend going for that white boat over there, a slight bit over to the left. If you want to do it more aggressively. If you don't want to do it that way, if you want to play it safe, just hang on the backside of that wall. The only problem you may face while you're hanging there is that sometimes Nate will move his gun over to his left hand. And I don't know if you can move it back to his right hand by pressing the shoulder swap button. I think it's R3. Otherwise, if that doesn't work, just drop off the wall, fall into the water and start climbing up again. That will reset him, so he will put the gun back in his right hand. And now I'm just running around trying to pick up as much pistol ammo as possible. I have 75 bullets, and that should be more than enough, because there are quite a few enemies, but since you are in such a safe place, you can just take your time and pick your shots. But I like to do a stealthy approach first, try to take out as many enemies as possible, because it speeds up the fight a little bit. And if I were to go for a more aggressive strategy, I would still do this first part stealthy. Try to take out as many guys as you can. And now there are 2 guys on the back side of this boat still. So I'm gonna try. Hopefully the platforming will cooperate. You are at a bit of a risk of being detected. Here I think there is a guy manning a turret. He can spot you. If he does, just drop into the water, swim underneath water. I think you're completely safe while you're swimming beneath the surface. And just head for that wall. But these 2 guys over here talking. I think if you're really quick, you can pull down the guy closest to the edge and just shoot the other guy really fast. But I wasn't quite sure, and I wanted to do the setup as fast as possible, so I'm just gonna aim. Probably, yes. Line up my sight, shoot him in the head, unloading him, and then I'm gonna head for the wall. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go up here and pick up some grenades. And there you have the guy on the turret. It was a bit sad to trim out those 8 minutes actually, because if I may say so myself, I did some wonderful shooting while I was sitting back there. Actually managed to headshot the guy on manning the turret. I shot him between the shields. And I can tell you anything right now, because since I've edited it out, there's no way to disprove it. But if anyone wants to, I may take those 8 minutes and put them in a separate video and upload it, if anyone wants to see that. If you would like me to do that, please let me know, and please let me know in the comments. Just drop a line and tell me to upload it, and I will. But anyway, here's the setup. You're sitting here just by the edge, trying to aim around the corner. I'm a bit far in. You need to go a little bit more out. And the good part about this cover is the fact that no one will be able to shoot you, basically. If they throw grenades, they will just fall into the water. They will not hurt you. And the enemies showing up in this fight are a bunch of regular enemies, quite a lot of them. There will be 2 heavies coming in towards the end of the fight. There will be a guy with a grenade launcher. He is the least threatening enemy. And there you have it, the transition. This is the end of the fight. But when you get a bit into the fight, a guy up on that ship over there to my left, not the closest one, the second closest one. There will be a guy on that roof with a rocket launcher. He poses no threat at all. If he shoots grenades at you, they will just bounce off the wall, end up in the water, and you're safe. And there will also be 2 snipers. Snipers can technically pose a threat. But as we all know, if you follow these guides, you know the fact that they take like 3 weeks to line up their aim. If you feel that they're getting too close for comfort, because no one can swim, but if you feel you've exposed yourself for too long, just duck down behind cover again or release the aiming button. They will have to line up their sight again, which will take another 3 weeks, and you will have great moments to take them out. And also towards the end of the fight, I think it's a timed event. I'm not quite sure, but 2 heavies will show up. And they will go to the closest platform. They will try to kill you, but they will have no chance. I like to use grenades on them. You saw me picking up, was it 2, 3 grenades before the fight started. Throw 1, throw 2, they will die. And here you will see a little weird bit. Because the next part of fight, I died once. And it put me in a bit of an awkward spot. And you saw me pick up the M32 hammer. I'm gonna use that for the next big gauntlet. But when I spawned in, the game had somehow reset. So I didn't have the M32 hammer. Instead I had a cal. So you will see me pick it up twice. And here's one guy left from the first wave. I think he will always be back here, so be aware of that. And he goes into the weirdest death animation ever. Stand by for it. There is. And now he's dead. And just hanging around. So I go in to punch him and then he falls down. He fell down the very second I was gonna hit him in the face. That would have been great. The last step of humiliation, beating on a corpse. But the next part of this fight will spawn when, or will trigger when you jump towards the ladder you saw on the ship I just was on. So now I'm going back to the ship I was on before, where I picked up the grenade launchers. I'm gonna pick up grenades again, because as I've told you before, sometimes when you reset a checkpoint, grenades and weapons that you have already picked up will for some reason respawn. I'm not 100% sure if it's 100% consistent, but to my experience, or in my experience, it's quite consistent. I've come across it a lot of times. But when you jump to this ladder, you will spawn in the next set of enemies. And they will show up, you see right there on that big, what is an oil tanker? Or something. So the very second you see them spawn in, immediately let go of the ladder and fall into the water and duck down. Because I actually... This is a bit embarrassing to admit, but we're all honest here, we're all friends. I managed to die to one of these snipers. It's quite amazing. It's not this guy. Take him out. I spawn kill the next guy coming in, so he just falls down. Be quick to kill him because he has an RPG. But this sniper, which I just grazed a little bit, probably took off a bit of his ear. He has tendency to move in there between those pillars. And that puts me in a really awkward position because he can hit me but I can't hit him. So the best way to approach this is go up this ladder, and we're gonna bring a tank to a knife fight, more or less, because I'm gonna man this turret and pulverize him. You have 1,000 bullets, feel free to let it rip. And here is another grenade launcher. And I'm gonna go back to the boat where I picked up 2 of them. I'm gonna pick up another one. And for some reason I didn't pick up the Tau. I have told you this a lot of times before. Always go for the power weapons when you have the opportunity. That is something you should do here as well. I have no idea why I didn't pick it up. You don't need it for the next fight, because you will have probably 10 grenades for the M32 hammer, and that should be more than sufficient. I used 7 of them and wiped the entire next area. More or less. I did use my normal gun a little bit. But if you bring the hammer, you have 10 grenades, and you bring the Tau, which has 6 bullets, you're golden. That is 16 kill shots, if you use them wisely. The grenade launcher can be a little bit wonky. It seems like the blast radius on the grenades from the grenade launcher aren't as big as normal hand grenades, and they don't have the same damage output as for example RPG. They're somewhere in between, which is a little bit weird, but as long as it comes to normal enemies. Also here, be aware, one guy comes up right there, so we just take him down anytime now, Nate. Thank you. And when you come over to this platform, there will also be another guy that shows up, and I'm just gonna bash his skull in. But in this next fight, which will start as soon as you jump down on the other side of this old captain's hut or whatever it is, just bash him and pull out the pin on one of his grenades. Don't stay too close, the grenade can kill you as well. And make sure to reload your weapons and equip your grenade launcher, and let's do this. So duck down behind this cover. All the enemies will come in either from your front or from your left. So you pop a grenade on him. The key here is to be aggressive, but don't be overly aggressive. Make sure you use your grenades in a fashion that will make them useful, which I say as I miss one guy. If I hadn't fired that grenade into oblivion, that would have killed him. But here comes a heavy, shoot one grenade, that strips all his armor, the second one kills him. And now I think there are only 2 guys left. There is that guy, and I think there is another one hiding further down this way. If you for some reason run out of grenades, you see you have 2 cals on this crate right in front of me. And there is also other weapons. I think there is a sawn-off that the heavy used. So there is no reason to why you should run out of ammo or die in this fight. It's really easy as long as you approach it aggressively and intelligently. And now we're gonna play a little cat and mouse game with this guy, because he has realized that he is in a really shitty position. Because I come in here, I'm armed to the teeth, I've taken out maybe 5 or 6 of his friends, and I shoot him straight in the chest. Always very satisfying when you do that. And now I know there is only 1 enemy left, and he's hiding behind the pillars. So I'm gonna go up here to the left and try and flank him. But he was further back than I first thought. So he tries to reposition, which will only prolong his suffering. It's like, I think it's the American snipers that say that you can run but you'll only die tired. Well, that is kind of the same thing we had going with Nate here. And he also put himself in a really awkward position, because he went down to the 2nd floor, which made him end up in a situation where it's basically like shooting fish in a barrel. And I pick up quite a lot of ammo here, which is a good thing. You get the opportunity to change your cal for a GMAL before or a bit into the next fight. And the next fight coming up in this chapter is actually, in my opinion, the absolutely hardest part of this chapter. Because the first fight you saw... No, you did not see. Because I trimmed that out. But it's extremely easy. It's just tedious. It takes quite a while. But you should make it first try, no problems at all. This fight right here, or the second part first with the guys on the tanker, is really easy. Just pick up a sniper rifle and don't miss like I do. Make sure that the last guy, that you take him out as soon as he shows up. And if you don't manage to take him out, go up, man the turret, pulverize his ass. And this fight, also very extremely easy, as long as you bring the right weapons. But the next fight coming up is one of those awkward fights. I don't like it at all, actually, and one of the reasons I don't like it is that you're more or less forced to use the Raffica handgun. And the Raffica handgun is a semi-automatic handgun. It shoots in bursts of 3. And I think the damage output on it is a bit nerfed, and due to the recoil of the weapon, it will start climbing a little bit. So the third shot will hit a bit higher than the first one. So it's quite good if you try, or if you manage to aim for an enemy's upper chest, because hopefully the aim will climb high enough for the last bullet to hit him in the head, and that's a kill. We all know that. But sometimes it just feels like a pellet gun at times, and this fight is made even harder. If I could use the Para 9, I died, by the way, once or twice going up here. I have the Para 9 right now, and you'll see that I don't pick up the Raffica. I just jump, but I had to do a little transition here because, as I said, I died, and when the game spawns you in, you are forced to use the Raffica. And look at this mess. What makes this so hard is just the awkward positioning. Because you have enemies firing at you from a height advantage. They have floorboards in the way. They are at quite a big distance. You can shoot out the floorboards. And it's just awkward, and I really dislike this gun. And especially when you have them... when they stand with their side towards you, if you don't manage to hit the head directly, the aim will probably go out of his entire hitbox and just send 3 bullets flying into mid-air, maybe kill a seagull, and you will have PETA on your ass because, oh, you killed the animals and not the pirates, you horrible person. And we all know Nate is a horrible person because he has killed thousands of people. He is a mass murderer, but it looks really easy when you watch this, or most of it looks kinda easy. Be aware of that guy. Immediately when you get up here, shoot him in the back. Make him die in an awkward position. Looks, even in death, that looks painful. And when you jump over here, one guy is gonna come out perfectly, so we can push him off the edge and make him fall to his death. Titanic style. I've never seen the movie, but I watched the trailer once, and I think there is a guy that falls down in the middle of the ship. I think the ship kind of like breaks apart at the middle, and you see one sorry-ass guy falling down, probably hitting all kinds of parts of it before... He was probably dead before he hit the water, if he even got that far and didn't get impaled on something. But since I'm under the impression that it's supposed to be one of those romantic movies, so I guess he he doesn't get impaled or anything, at least. And now this guy doesn't want to cooperate. He doesn't want to show his face, so I'm gonna try to blow up that gas tank. I was hoping that that would push him out of cover. Try to make him go out and be more aggressive. Didn't work as well as I'd hoped. But then you can just wait. Play the waiting game. And I must say, I have a bit of a sore throat. I feel my voice has a tendency to try to give out on me. Hopefully it will hang in there for the last minutes of this video, but if there are any sudden silences or something, or if I start croaking a little bit, that's because I have a cold. And it's perfect timing since I've just gone on my holiday for Xmas. So, of course, I'm gonna get a cold. Probably get sick as well. But I think that was the last guy in this fight. And also, I thought about it when I watched this video before starting narrating it. I thought about playing through this chapter on brutal difficulty. On brutal, you die in 2 bullets, and I assume that applies to the Rafika as well. And the Rafika shoots in bursts of 3. So I guess if one of those guys hits you point blank with the Rafika, you're dead. Can you imagine what a nightmare this chapter would be? If you tried to play it on that difficulty? And I talked about that in one of my Uncharted 1 videos. That I will probably never play this game on brutal. I tried the first game a little bit. And I do appreciate the fact that, okay, I go down in 2 bullets. I only get 2 bullets when I kill enemies. But the thing that got to me was the fact that if you pick up bullets for a weapon you already have, you will only get 2. And they take 4 to go down. And that makes it very, very unfair. I talked about it at great length in one of my Uncharted 1 videos. I think it was chapter 2. May have been quite a while back. Also here, when you swing across this, another guy comes out, just kick him in the face. And you hear him screaming all the way down to the level below. And feel free, while we're at this, or we were at the subject of Titanic, feel free to do a little King of the World impression. You're at a big ship, why not do it?
Nearly there.
But anyway, this is one of the reasons I didn't do my walkthrough for brutal. And as I've said, you don't need to do it on brutal to get the platinum trophy. Crushing is the highest difficulty demanded. Maybe sometime I will play through this game on brutal, but then I will probably be very careful when I'm playing it. And if I'm gonna do one of those playthroughs, it wouldn't be a very fun walkthrough to watch as I inch myself along this game. But here we have, I think this may be, well, wow. This may very well be the last fight of the chapter. I think it is. This, as you can see, this is a really long chapter. And there are a few enemies in here. There aren't that many. I think there are 4 or 5. And in this part you will also get to the opportunity to pick up 2 towels. And I recommend you do so, because you will go into the next chapter carrying 12 magnum bullets. And look at this. This shows just how slow these snipers are. Look at this. He has me clear in his sight, dead to rights. And all he had to do was pull the trigger. He had one job to do. One job. But apparently his union man called him and said, no, you're not getting paid overtime for this, so you cannot pull that trigger, son. You will be, let's call it a scab. Something when you break a strike. But anyway. Sorry, bad pun. But anyway, I have picked up the 2 towels lying on the crates. So we'll go into the beginning of the next chapter with 12 magnum bullets. And that is 12 kill shots. And that is great odds. Because the beginning of the next chapter, or the very beginning, isn't that intense, but it gets more intense. And I can't remember right now if I have the towels with me going into the second part of that fight, or into the second part of that chapter that That is something we're gonna find out. But this is the last guy, the last enemy before we can leave this big old ship graveyard. And he is a heavy, and I was waiting for him to move up to this corner so I could just do a stealth takedown. And for some reason it didn't work. I know it should work. I'm quite sure I have done it on this guy. But the game wasn't cooperating, so I had to beat him instead. And this is really easy. It's just like beating any old enemy. All the heavies, all the brutes, all the normal enemies are really easy when you go into a fist fight. They can't do shit, and you have superiority. But that ends chapter 12, and I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.